Okay, now I got the sound
Okay.
on. Okay, here we go. Ina alhamdulillah, wa salat, wa salam ala wa rasulallah. I'd like to welcome everybody to our maqasidic tafsir class. And this is the class whereas we're studying from the book written by Dr. Karim Abuzaid entitled The Maqasidic Tafsir Volume 3, which focuses in on the 7 most lengthy chapters of the Quran. And tonight we're still going to go over Surat An Nisa. Surat An Nisa. And tonight for Surat An Nisa, we're going to talk about the verses of the Quran that speak about conflicts that relate to governance. So let's put the PowerPoint up on the screen. And for those of you who are watching me on the Beagle program, go ahead and join, open up a tab on your cell phone to YouTube and join my Sunnahfollowers channel. And so you can see the PowerPoint. I was going to say, did I mess the PowerPoint up? No, there it is. And we can go ahead and get started because I don't want to spend too much time tonight. All right, here we go. We're going to be, this is chapter 3.3.3, Surat An Nisa. And we're going to address the verses that speak about the challenges in establishing Islamic governance. And I'm just going to go over the verses that speak about the challenges in jihad and migration. Jihad and migration for tonight. All right. And that's how the book looks. For those of you who have not yet purchased the book, this is the book. And that's a picture, of course, of Dr. Karim Abuzaid and yours truly. Okay. Yeah. Yes, go ahead. You can take screenshots. And for those of you who would like to take screenshots of the PowerPoint until you purchase the book, feel free. You can take the screenshots. Right. Yes. Yeah, I have no problem with that. Yeah. Yeah, you have my picture on your screenshot. I don't mind. I'm dressed the way a woman's supposed to dress, so there's no problem with that. Okay, so we'll be addressing the verses of Surat An Nisa that speak about the challenges regarding jihad and migration. So let's get started. Okay, let me move this out the way. And again, within the Islamic framework, the enforcement of Allah's laws and the administration of justice face various challenges that can compromise the integrity and effectiveness of any attempt to institute leadership. And amongst the potential challenges mentioned in this chapter of the Quran, there are 9 that are prominent in this time, this era of religious estrangement. And we're going to mention those 9 challenges. Number 1, seeking conflict resolution outside the Islamic legal framework undermines the application of Allah's laws and it jeopardizes justice. This is the first. Also, neglecting the duty of struggling in the way of Allah impedes the defense of the oppressed and the establishment of justice. There's a lot of people today who are oppressed. You can look around the world today and see how many of us are oppressed. Remember, this whole chapter, Surat An Nisa, was manifest, was revealed, you know, to bring justice to those who are oppressed within society, mainly women, children, orphans, and the needy. There's a lot of women, you know, who are oppressed today, children, needy, orphans. So it's hard to establish justice, the rules of justice for women today, and children and needy. Also, abstaining from migration for the sake of Allah. This neglects the support of Muslim communities and hampers the collective ability to uphold justice. Look what's going on in different parts of the world. Look what's going on in France. Subhanallah. Look what's going on in different parts of the world regarding women, women, Muslim women, and the way we dress, the beard, for Muslim men. Subhanallah. Also, bias and injustice within the community erode the foundational principles of allegiance and disassociation, which is essential for maintaining Allah's justice. We see that happening here in America. It's hard to distance ourselves from that which opposes our, Islamic morals, especially with the LGBTQ and all of that. All right. Also, disunity from the main body opens the door to relativism and infidelity in our belief system. We see that happening in America. We see that happening in other parts of the world. Also, corrupt belief systems such as al-irja, which we spoke about in our 630 class, distort the understanding and the application of our principles of belief. And family discord reflects and amplifies the challenges to justice and allegiance at the societal level. And finally, the presence of hypocrites, and boy, do we have many of them. The presence of hypocrites undermines Islamic principles and threatens unity and justice. Not to mention, I'm sorry, I don't know what happened there. Not to mention the problems with interfaith interactions, which introduce compromise to our Islamic. It's doing that again. I don't know what I did. I put it on some button which it makes it. It's when I click, it's doing that. Okay, not to mention interfaith interactions, which introduce compromise to our Islamic principles. So these are the 9 different challenges that are prominent in this time and this era, which are causing religious estrangement for us, as Muslims today. And tonight we're going to focus in on the neglect of the duty of jihad, and how it is impeding on the defense of the oppressed. And also we're going to speak about the migration issue tonight, inshallah. What happened with that? So addressing these challenges is crucial for the robust application of allegiance and disassociation and the establishment of justice, starting from the foundational unit of society, which is the family unit, especially in matters like inheritance, the distribution of inheritance. And so a comprehensive strategy for developing leadership nurtures and manifests allegiance and justice within the Islamic community, and it fortifies against forces seeking to undermine our sacred principles that Allah has given us in the Quran to protect such matters like inheritance and things like that. And these 9 compromising challenges are detailed, in verses 60 through 162 of Surat An Nisa. And we're going to speak about them tonight. And we're going to begin with, the verses addressing jihad and migration. And these verses explore the peril of resolving disputes outside the Islamic legal framework or replacing the laws of Allah with man-made laws. And this is the problem. Uh, a lot of Muslims today, especially here in America, we have a lot of Islamic imams and such who are tweaking the Quran, tweaking Allah's laws, tweaking Allah's rules, you know, and replacing them with man-made laws, man-made rules to suit society. And this is wrong, because this is compromising the our laws, and our enforcement of Allah's laws is compromising our Muslim identity, and consequently is compromising our justice system as well. Whenever we choose man-made laws, the laws of man, believing that they are better than the laws of Allah, this is an error. You know, you're choosing allegiance to something or someone else over allegiance to Allah, and this could amount to kufr or disbelief. And we spoke about this before in our Aqidah class. You know, we can never choose man's laws over Allah's. You know, when we take that testimony of faith, when we declare La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah, we're declaring our allegiance to Allah, not to and we're pledging to distance ourselves from anything that tries to come between our relationship with Allah. And when we look at Surat An Nisa, verse number 60, for example, verse 60 criticizes those who, despite professing belief in the laws of Allah and the revelation of Allah, verse 60 criticizes those who turn to false judges or false systems for judgment over Allah. Verse 60 speaks about how this action directly contravenes the command to reject such entities, and highlights a fundamental breach of Islamic principles. Shaitan's role in leading people astray underscores the spiritual danger of seeking judgment outside the Islamic framework, reflecting a deeper issue of faith and allegiance. In fact, Asudi explained the verse. Listen to what he said. He said there were some Jews who converted to Islam, and some of them were hypocrites. In the pre-Islamic era, if a man from a tribe killed a tribe from Qurayza killed a man from the tribe of Nadir, he would be killed in return, or his blood money would be taken as 100 wask of dates. If a man from the tribe of Nadir killed a man from the tribe of Qurayza, he would not be killed in return, and his blood money would be 60 wask. When Allah brought Islam and the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam migrated to Medina, a man from Nadir killed a man from Qurayza, and they argued about it. The tribe of Nadir said, you and we had agreed that we would kill some of you, and you would not kill some of us. Your blood money would be 60 wask, and our blood money would be 100 wask, so that we would give you that. And Kajrich said, this is something you did in the pre-Islamic era because of your great number and our small number. So you overcame us. Today, you and I are brothers, and our religion and your religion are one. So there is no superiority. You have to give us more. So the hypocrites amongst them said, go to Abu Burda, the Islami soothsayer. The Muslims from both groups said, no, instead go to the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. But the hypocrites refused and went to the soothsayer to judge between them, believing that he would give them a more favorable judgment. Subhanallah. The hypocrisy of those who turned away from the Islamic guidance is eventually exposed in these verses, illustrating the internal conflict within the community regarding adherence to Allah's commandments. Their aversion to what Allah and His Messenger prescribe reveals a dissonance between their professed belief and their actual practices. As Umar radiallahu anha said, whoever decorates himself by displaying to the people some characteristics that Allah knows are contrary to his real characteristics will be disgraced and dishonored by Allah. So despite their earlier aversion to Islamic rulings, the hypocrites inevitably seek refuge in the built social structure of Islam and its community of believers when faced with adversity. Their actions underscore a utilitarian approach to the religion. They seek its benefits while disregarding its obligations. Allah command the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam to admonish them rather than punish them. This reflects the emphasis on guidance and reform. Instead, in times of bounty or burden, firm belief reflects consistency of obedience to the messenger to attain Allah's forgiveness. True faith necessitates unconditional acceptance of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam's judgment, eliminating any form of resistance to his decisions. This complete submission is portrayed as a cornerstone of belief, integral to the internalization of Islamic values and principles as a framework for justice and reconciliation. So this group of verses concludes with a discussion of the hypothetical scenario of extreme sacrifice, illustrating the significance of obedience and the potential spiritual benefits of adhering to Allah's commands. These verses suggest that compliance with Allah's orders, no matter how challenging, leads to spiritual elevation and divine reward. And this is the greatest goal for those who obey Allah and His Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam, which is an esteemed company in the hereafter, regardless of loss of material comfort in this world. And this association motivates adherence to Islamic principles and establishes a clear link between obedience to Allah, spiritual success, and divine favor. Subhanallah. So again, and we deal with that today, a lot of hypocrisy. A lot of people convert to Islam, but how many of us obey the laws of Allah? How many of us will take the laws of man over the laws of Allah? We can't tweak Allah's laws. Allah commands the believing women to cover our bodies when we leave the home. We have to dress in loose fitting clothing. You don't have to wear black. We can wear whatever colors we want. We can wear whatever fabric we want, as long as the fabric is loose fitting, so it doesn't show the shape of our body or the skin. You don't have to cover your face either, okay? Allah doesn't put those type of restrictions on us. Man does. But look how many women are not adhering to the laws of Allah. They're allowing man to tweak it, to put belts on, to draw their khimars behind their back instead of in front of their bosom, as Allah commands, subhanAllah. We can't tweak it, okay? So now we're going to address, let me make sure that the PowerPoint didn't skip anything, because for some reason, yeah, it did good. It didn't skip. And so those were the verses addressing the hypocrisy. So, and again, you know, hypocrisy is a disease of the heart. And we spoke before about diseases of the heart. Diseases of the heart, the only one that can cure you of diseases of the heart is Allah. You know, diseases of the heart, a psychiatrist can't help you with that. No one can help you with that except Allah. This is something that we're going to have to work on. If you notice that you are suffering with diseases of the heart, such as hypocrisy, you say you believe in Allah, but in reality, you don't. You know, you're tweaking the religion, or you're accepting part of the religion, but not other parts. You're going to have to work on that. You're going to have to ask Allah to make you firm in your religion, to make you sincere in this religion. And you're going to have to work on changing that. Allah is not going to change the condition of a person until the person takes the steps to change the condition of himself. And Allah will help you with that. Okay? But you have to be sincere in wanting to remove that hypocrisy from your heart. And so we're going to address the verses of Surat An Nisa that deal with jihad, neglecting jihad. And jihad is an Arabic word that does not mean war or war, fighting in a war. It means to struggle in the way of Allah. And the verses in Surat An Nisa that address this are verses 71 through 96. 71 through 96. This text addresses the implications of failing to perform jihad, or defying the command to strive in the way of Allah, which endangers the provision of justice and the rescue. This is important. The rescue of oppressed individuals. You know, Islam is all about justice. When we know that people are suffering at the hands of injustice, we're supposed to help them. Remember, we're supposed to help your brothers and sisters if they are being oppressed. Okay? Failure to do so is a sin in Islam. This includes women. This includes children. This includes the elderly. When the women are being oppressed, the children are being oppressed, the elderly are being oppressed. Subhanallah. How many of us, we're living here in America, we know that we have women in our communities who are in need of help, and we don't help them. We have children who are in need of help. They have no fathers, but we don't help them. Their fathers are non-Muslims, or their fathers are in prison. We have elderly sisters who are single. They have no husbands. They have no one to help them, to provide for them, to maintain them, but we're doing nothing to help these women. Okay? We have some sets of Muslims who have deviated from the main group based on their rejection of the concept of struggling in the way of Allah, compromising justice, compromising unity. The correct understanding of jihad within Islam is nuanced. Still, legitimate militant jihad involves the obedience to authoritative calls for strategic response, which is linked to assessing the balance between potential benefits and harms. We're not at warfare here in America. This is not an Islamic state. We're not at war here. We have no caliph, but still, we have communities of Muslims here. We have women who are single. You know, we have unmarried women who have no husbands. We have elderly women who are alone. You know, how many of us check on them to see if these women are in need of help? Okay. We have women who are raising children who are alone. You know, how many of us, you know, see if these women need help? You know, we can check on them. These people fall in the category of the vulnerable. Remember, these verses were sent down for those people in society who are vulnerable. These children, you know, they have no father. Their father is non-Muslim. Okay. What can he do for them? Nothing. All right. We have to check on them, help them. When we look at verses 71 through 96, they articulate the concepts of jihad. They also speak about allegiance and distancing ourselves. Remember, when you take Shahada, you're declaring allegiance not just to Allah, not just to the Prophet Muhammad, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, but you're declaring allegiance to the Muslims, no matter who they are, no matter where they are. And you're declaring that to also to distance yourself from anything, you know, that comes between you and the Muslims who you have allegiance to. So we have to maintain the Muslim community's integrity. We have to maintain the Muslim community's identity. These verses 71 through 96, they call for readiness and sacrifice for Allah's cause, while highlighting the detrimental impact of hypocrisy on the community. Charity begins at home. We talk about Gaza. Yes, the Muslims in Gaza need our supplications. Okay? The Muslims in Gaza need our dua. But there's not much more we can do for them. Okay? Charity begins at home. We talk about how we like to help the Muslims in Gaza. We talk about what we like to do for the Muslims in Gaza. But you got Muslims right here at home. As the Prophet said, everything begins at home. What are you doing for the Muslims right here at home in your community? Those women who have no husbands, who have children, those elderly women who are alone, who need help, who need support, who have lost hope. A lot of these women have no hope anymore. What are you doing to help them? You can't even give them $20 to help them pay their rent, to help them buy their medication. But you're talking about how you wish you could help the people in Gaza. SubhanAllah, when you can't even help the Muslim women who are vulnerable and those fatherless children in your community. SubhanAllah. Let's look at verses 77 through 80. These verses provide a reflective account of the early Muslims' attitudes towards struggling in the way of Allah, initially during the Meccan period. Some individuals expressed a desire to go out and actively engage in warfare. Yet the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam told them that it wasn't time yet. But remarkably, when the time had come, those who showed an interest had then become reluctant. And that's how people are. We're good at talking about what we want to do when the time ain't right. Then when Allah says, okay, now is the time to go out and do it, we all of a sudden don't want to do it. That's how man oftentimes is. Like I said, we talk a big talk about what we wish we could do for Gaza, but there's Muslims in our community. We got vulnerable people in our communities right now who need our help, and we're doing nothing to help them. SubhanAllah. So now we're going to talk about migration. When we look at verses 88 through 96, 88 through 96 again address hypocrisy and the importance of unity in the face of internal threats to the community's fabric. These verses also advocate for a discerning stance in allegiance and opposition, guided by the principles of justice and collective well-being as mandated by Allah's laws. These verses also underscore the importance of collective responsibility, ethically mandated through engaging in jihad under authoritative guidance. And also, they go into the speaking of migration. Verses 97 through 104. These verses highlight the significance of leaving and migrating to a Muslim country when you are unable to practice your religion openly in a non-Muslim country. That's when migration becomes an obligation. These verses are not saying that it is haram to live in a non-Muslim country. They're saying that when you are forbidden to practice your religion openly and freely in a non-Muslim country, that's when the call to migrate becomes an obligation. And I want everyone to understand that, because there are some Muslims who think that it is forbidden to live anywhere on this earth unless it's a Muslim land. That's not true. Allah created the earth for us to live, and we can live anywhere on this earth as long as we're able to practice our religion openly and freely. But if you are being told that you cannot practice your religion openly and freely, that's when it becomes obligatory to move. And the earth is spacious. So these verses 97 through 104 of Surat An Nisa, lets it be known that the call to migrate becomes obligatory when you are being forbidden from practicing your religion freely. That's what happened with the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam and his companions. They were not allowed to practice Islam freely in Mecca, so they had to leave. Some went to Abyssinia and some went to Medina. Okay, and also these verses speak about how those who fail to migrate, despite having the ability to do so, they will face a deep retribution as a result. So if you are able to leave the country and you refuse to do so, this is a dire warning of the hellfire as your reward for not doing so. So whoever stays when they have the ability to leave, this is a serious sin. Okay, so that's something to think about. And that's what the verses 97 through 104 speak about. 98 through 99, extend mercy to those who can't leave, because not everybody can migrate. Some people don't have the money or the ability to leave, such as the people who are sick, or some women who have no means, they have no husband, no way to go, or the children who have no way to go. So Allah shows compassion towards them. For those willing to migrate, they have a reward for doing that. So, that's what verses 98 through 99 say, because even with the Prophet, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, not everybody, not all the companions were able to migrate. Some were too poor, some couldn't leave Mecca. So for those who couldn't leave, Allah showed mercy towards them because Allah knew their situation. And then verses 101 through 103 of An Nisa provide practical directives for maintaining religious observations despite the travel of threats, the balancing of religious observance with concern for the believer's spiritual and physical welfare under varying conditions, And lastly, verse number 104 calls for resilience and strength in the face of hardship and conflict, emphasizing the unique hope in Allah's promise that will distinguish the believers from their adversaries. And this will encourage steadfastness in upholding your religious obligations, including migrating as an expression of unshakable allegiance to Allah and His Prophet, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So those are the verses in Surat An Nisa addressing hypocrisy, jihad, and migration. As you can see, this surah of the Quran, An Nisa, is truly a chapter that deals with the vulnerable and justice. And the next time we meet for this class, we'll go over 3 of the other 9 challenges that Allah addresses regarding justice. Are there any questions? Any questions? And as you guys can see, the Quran is not outdated. This is the greatest miracle. One of the sisters asked, what is the greatest miracle of the Prophet Muhammad, sallallahu alaihi wasallam? The greatest miracle of his is the Quran, because the Quran is for all times. It's not outdated. Okay, it applies to every era. As you can see by me giving this maqasidic tafsir, it applies even to today. Okay, it helps to deal with the trials, the tribulations that we're going through even today, the hardships today. Is never outdated. 1,000,000 years from now, it'll still apply to them. This is his greatest miracle. Okay. Any other questions? All right, I'm going to stop right here for tonight. Please make sure you go to the YouTube channel, click on the shorts, and look at all the shorts that I'm putting out. Please share them on your social media platforms. And also, please support this dawah effort. If you enjoy learning Islam and its truthfulness with the understanding of the original companions, please support us by donating to us. And inshallah, I'll see you guys tomorrow. Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdika, ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta, astaghfiruka wa atubu ilaik. Assalamu alaikum. Everybody have a good night.